Welcome back to the program now for our market analysis segment. Toba Kamete, Treasury Sales Manager at Nedbank, joins me in studio. A very good afternoon to you, Kamete. I want to start off in SA perhaps. The CPI data came out for July and it led to 3.5% year on year. What drove the spike?
Good afternoon, Notil and our viewers. So yes, inflation increased in South Africa from 3% in June to 3.5% in July. This was mainly driven by increasing electricity prices, food prices, as well as water prices. So it's more utilities than anything. But it did, however, come in within market expectations. So markets had already priced in that the inflation will tick up to 3.5%. So we didn't move the needle much in terms of the indicators, as it had already been priced in. But we're just going to then see how the sub is going to maneuver around this increase that we saw.
Right, this increase. What could it mean for rate cuts, interest rate cuts, come September?
So we have seen the sub cut rates in the last two consecutive sittings. So with this, uptick, we are likely then to see a more cautious approach because then it means, with this easing comes, the big elephant in the room, which is inflation. So we are yet to see how they will respond to it. Likely maybe a pause in light of the increase in the inflation, but we were yet to get views on this, as this is statistics that have been released this morning.
All right. Cross over now to the US. What's your characterization of markets, especially in this particular moment ahead of the Fed Jackson Hole meetings expected this coming Friday, where Jerome Powell is also expected to give a speech on Friday?
Yeah, so trading is quite muted in the market. So market participants are on a wait and see kind of environment, where with the events that are coming up that you have just mentioned, they are waiting to see and get clues of the Fed's interest rate trajectory, or how they're going to be implementing monetary policies going forward. So markets are waiting to hear or for clues on what to look out for. We have the Fed's July minutes coming out today, this evening. So that is going to give a bit of information of what went down in the July Fed meeting. We're also then, as you've said, awaiting the Jackson Hole symposium that's starting tomorrow, with Powell delivering his speech on Friday. So it's a more of a muted environment right now.
With the Fed minutes coming out briefly, what are your expectations?
There's likely not going to be much from it, because most of the data that we've seen in recent times came out after that meeting. The job or employment numbers that came out were after just the following week after that meeting, as well as the inflation that came out last week. So, and also looking at how the voting was when it came to the decision that was taken to keep rates flat, you are likely not going to get much from the minutes, but on the Friday speech, you are likely then going to get something because of recent economic indicators that we've seen.
All right, let's get into the numbers this afternoon, from commodities to equities. What's happening with the markets?
All right, in terms of commodities, oil is doing quite well. We've seen the price of oil go slightly higher. This is due to a number of factors, but I'll just highlight two. The first one is demand of oil in the US increased significantly from a report that was published by the American Petroleum Institution today, well, rather yesterday, showed that the drew about 2.4, they drew down 2.4 million barrels last week. Market was expecting a 1.2 million decline, actually. So it grew about 3.8 million.
An uptick.
Yes, so there's an uptick in the demand of oil in the U.S. Economy. There's also optimism after the recent talks and engagements that the U.S., Europe, and Ukraine and Russia, the different engagements that they've had with the U.S. So there's optimism of a, peace deal being made in that conflict that we've seen go on for quite a long time. So that has sort of given oil a bit of, breathing ground as well.
Right.
Gold, on the other hand, it is trading at the lowest levels that we've seen in 3 weeks, but it has today just ticked up slightly, 0.31%. Otherwise, because of the uncertainty in the market, trading is quite muted as well when it comes to gold. We're likely then going to see a movement after we receive more information on what to expect in the market.
All right. In our equities today, what's happening in that regard?
All right, so in terms of equities, I'll start with the S&P 500. It is down about 0.59%, trading at $6,411.37, mainly due to tech stocks. So we've seen quite a number of share prices for tech companies going down. Due to a number of reasons. One of them is the involvement of the U.S. government in tech companies. There's been quite a few unconventional or unusual incidents. One being the U.S. government getting or buying a stake into Intel and other chip companies. The second being allowing NVIDIA to sell their AI chip, the H20, to China, and the US getting 15% of the revenue. So that influence of the government in the tech space has sort of, given investors jitters in terms of how far that would go. Otherwise, the other indicators are in the green, with the FTSE trading at 9.2 pounds, up 0.27, and the JSE all share also up 0.05% slightly.
All right. And moving on to our foreign exchange, our currencies, the Lilangeni, the rand, is not performing so well, I would say. What's driving this decline?
So it's we've seen the rand from yesterday just tick up from the levels that we saw probably on Monday, which were a bit better, but we are trading on average against the USD at 17.7.
It's an all red sea today.
Yes. So it's quite red, but as you can see, the percentages are quite minimal, so it shows that trading is muted. There's no big jumps of volatility that we are seeing in the market. So it's more of a wait and see on the information that is expected to be released into the market.
Okay.
Otherwise, there aren't really any big factors that are contributing to the levels that we're seeing.
All right, Toba Kamese, thank you very much for your insights. That was Toba Kamese, Treasury Sales Manager at Nedbank, just filling us in terms of the numbers and what investors should be on the lookout for. This has been Nedbank Business Watch from myself and the team. Until the next edition of the show, take care.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that